Wind Waker is a game set hundreds of years after Ocarina of Time. You know the best game of all time? Yeah, it's the best. It's the best one of all time. Wind Waker follows the hero of Link in a sea scattered with 49 islands. Link lives on Outside Island with his grandmother and sister. The people of the Great Sea pass down a legend of a prosperous kingdom, very recognizable to the average Legend of Zelda fan, with a hidden golden power known as the Triforce. An evil man stole this power and spread darkness till a young boy in green, wonder who that could be, sealed the evil with the blade of evil's bane, becoming known as the Hero of Time. On Outside Island, boys are customarily dressed in green to pay reverence to the Hero of Time, as they should. Ganondorf,
but are you serious right now?
A powerful evil, emerges from the sacred realm and spreads darkness over the kingdom of Hyrule. The people hope for the hero to save them, but he does not appear. The king, Daphnis no Hansen Hyrule, yeah, it totally said that right, tried to stop Ganondorf, but ultimately failed. The people pray to the gods and are instructed to flee to the mountaintops. The gods flood the land and seal Ganondorf and his minions, along with the kingdom of Hyrule, and an enchanted air chamber at the bottom of the sea with the Master Sword as the key. Over time, the memory of the kingdom is lost, but its legend remains. The game really starts when Link, a young boy on Outside Island, comes of age and receives a telescope from his sister. Using it, he sees a bird carrying a young girl being chased by pirates. The bird drops the girl and she lands in a tree on the island. Link takes a sword and goes to find the girl, who he learns is named Tetra and is the captain of the pursuing pirate band. Link leads Tetra to her ship, but a bird kidnaps Link's sister Ariel, mistaking her for Tetra. A Rito postman informs them of stories of a large bird that kidnaps young girls with long ears and taking them to a cursed fortress. Just sounds like the average news story. Link and Tetra reluctantly team up to rescue Ariel and infiltrate the fortress. However, they are caught and Link is thrown to the sea. He is rescued by a talking boat called the King of Red Lions, who tells him that the shadowy figure behind the fortress is Ganondorf, and the key to defeating him is the Master Sword, which can only be wielded after overcoming trials. Link makes way to gather the 3 Goddess Pearls, starting with Din's Pearl on Dragon Roost Island. The King of Red Lions gives Link a baton called the Wind Waker to help with navigation. Link meets Quill and learns of the Rito tribe's troubles with their sky spirit Valoo. A beast named Goma is causing the trouble, but Link defeats it and earns the pearl from Prince Kamali, who is inspired to earn a scale from Valoo. Link sets out to Forest Haven to find Ferrare's Pearl, but is asked by the great Deku Tree to save a Korok named Makar from the Forbidden Woods. He saves Makar and earns Ferrare's Pearl. He then sails to Great Fish Isle to obtain Nairu's Pearl from the water spirit Jaboon, but finds the island ravaged and Jaboon hiding in a cave behind Outside Island. He is told the cave is blocked by a giant stone doorway, but is able to break in using bombs from Tetra's pirate crew and obtaining Nairu's Pearl. He then places the pearl on the respective statues on the Triangle Islands, causing the Tower of the Gods to rise. Link scales the Tower of the Gods, defeats its guardian, and finds a giant bell on the roof which reveals a golden portal. He and the king enter it and travel beneath the waves to find a castle suspended in time where he finds the Master Sword. He uses it to defeat Ganondorf and rescues Ariel. However, the Master Sword proves to be ineffective against Ganondorf. Ganondorf reveals that the Master Sword is the key to sealing his magic, but Link broke the seal by pulling it from the pedestal. Ganondorf overpowers Link and Tetra, but is later saved by Quill and Prince Kamali before Valoo engulfs Ganondorf's tower in flames. Ganondorf also reveals that Tetra is Princess Zelda and recognizes her necklace as a fragment of the Triforce of Wisdom. The King of Red Lions reveals to Link and Tetra they are in the flooded kingdom of Hyrule and that he is the king, Daphnis no Hansen. You know, whatever. You know, I can't say it, I'm sorry. He also reveals Tetra as Princess Zelda and infuses a missing piece of the Triforce of Wisdom with the fragment on Tetra's necklace. He instructs Zelda to stay in Hyrule and sends Link to reawaken the Master Sword and unite the Triforce of Courage and seals the portal to keep Zelda safe. Ganondorf's forces kills the Sages of Wind and Earth, weakening the Master Sword. After defeating the Wind and Earth dungeons, Makar and Medley become the new Sages and restore the sword's power. Link then hunts down the Triforce of Courage. We'll talk more about that later. Spoiler alert, it blows massive donkey cock. Link then presents the Triforce of Courage to the gods and is declared the Hero of Time and Hero of Winds. Link discovers that Ganondorf kidnapped Zelda and took her to his headquarters, Ganon's Tower. Link makes haste for the tower and scales it. Ganondorf is waiting for him, sitting on a bed where Zelda is sleeping. What is this, Sleeping Beauty? What the hell's going on here? He transforms into a puppet creature to battle Link, who Link defeats rather easily. He catches Link off guard and knocks him down and proceeds to summon the pieces of Triforce from within Link and Zelda along his own to assemble the full Triforce. Ganondorf summons the Triforce and wishes for the rays of the sun to expose Hyrule anew so that the kingdom and the world may be his. However, the King of Hyrule touches the Triforce first. The king wishes for Hyrule and Ganondorf to be buried beneath the waves of the Great Sea. He also wishes for hope for Link and Zelda, that they might be able to create a better world. The Triforce grants the king's wish, flooding the land of Hyrule once again before vanishing. With the temper tantrum of a 3-year-old, Ganondorf enrages Link with a barrage of attacks, but with the Master Sword finally in its final form, Link and Zelda continue the battle with Ganondorf as Hyrule floods around them. Link then deals the final blow, stabbing him through the head. Yeah, the head. So much for this being a child's game, turning him into stone. Link and Zelda are then spirited away to the surface of the Great Sea as Hyrule and his king are buried beneath the sea. Zelda returns to her former self, Tetra. Tetra and Link are reunited with Ariel, the pirates, and some of Link's friends, living happily ever. Wait, I'm sorry, there's some post-credits. What is this, Marvel? Anyways, post-credit scenes show Link and Tetra sailing away with their crew in the search of a new land with the wind as their guide. This then sparks for the beginning of the first Nintendo DS Zelda game, Phantom Hourglass, which I've never played, and if this video gets 500 likes, I'll do a video on Phantom Hourglass. Now with the story out of the way, Wind Waker, despite initial concerns about its visuals, was actually praised for its graphics and retention of elements from previous Nintendo 64 games. I personally was never fond of the cartoonish style. You can control Link as he progresses through his adventure, meeting and helping characters, exploring dungeons, solving puzzles, fulfilling challenges, and defeating enemies. The game's controls are similar to the previous 3D titles with new improvements such as the C-stick for camera control and the button layouts for multiple actions. Like Majora's Mask, Wind Waker is a game set outside of Hyrule where Link explores the Great Sea with the help of a speaking boat, the King of Red Lions. He uses the Wind Waker to control the wind's flow and navigate to various islands, 49 in total, that contain interesting features such as hidden prizes and important areas related to the main quest. Fishermen on the island can provide information and mark the island's location on the sea chart. Link searches for an island and faces such as enemy bases and creatures. He can also visit submarines and enemy bases for treasure. Link uses a grappling hook to collect sunken treasures and earns treasure charts maps by defeating enemies, solving puzzles, and overcoming obstacles. These maps lead to previously inaccessible prizes and key items needed for final endeavors. Link this time around is more of an accidental hero instead of the standard chosen hero. Just look at his reaction when he receives the green tunic from Grandmama. He wants absolutely nothing to do with the tradition, but he sticks with it anyway because he's a lovable puffball. Sorry, I've been playing too much Kirby. This reincarnation of Link means well and wants to protect those he loves. This Link is unlike most. He's untrained, a slacker, and unlike previously, he actually shows emotion. You can tell when he's in over his little head or angry or sad. They have never really brought the character out before. I get that Link is ultimately supposed to represent the player, but it helps when the character responds to the happening around them. That's the reason why this barrel sequence is epic. This scene always makes me smile. The noises Link makes are hilarious. When Link uses that ultra spin attack, just lets out a massive scream of, oh god, what the fuck am I doing? There are plenty of people Link meets in the game across all various islands you can sail to. They're not all as memorable, although some are interesting given how certain events transpire. My favorites in the game are the game host and Beetle. They're funny and charismatic to me. Who doesn't love a good thank you? But as for the game, it's a whole different world out there. No longer are there lands filled with lush green grass or different scenery. Instead, we have oceans as far as the eye can see. And together with the King of Red Lions, it's Link's task to sail these waters in search of new islands containing towns to visit, dungeons to clear, and treasure to loot. It is without a doubt the trait that defines Wind Waker. Sailing is the means of how you travel in this world, and before, I used to absolutely hate this. Like, I hated it. I mean, I still dislike it, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Traveling requires using your sail to ride along the wind's path, but sometimes the wind may not blow in the direction you want or need it to, so you must manually change it, and that's where the infamous Wind Waker comes into play. A magic baton that allows one to change the direction of the wind. It doesn't have the same impact as the ocarina if you ask me, and it's nowhere near as big of a deal. It's just giving you with no build up, and then from that point on, it's just something you use to speed up time, progress through dungeons, and conduct seances with. Well, I guess when you put it that way, I guess it is the exact same as the ocarina. Ocarina is still 10 times better though. Playing with your little baton is not as quick as the ocarina. The inputs are simplified to some degree, but you're playing on an actual time signature which can't be sped up for any song. In later scenarios when you're required to play a specific song repeatedly, it starts to...
No, that really grinds my gears.
This is one reason why sailing sucked so much in the original Wind Waker. You had to use that thing constantly to change the wind in a favorable direction. You would be stopped in your tracks, only about as to whip out the baton. Oh boy, here we go again. Play the notes, change the wind, watch the wind change. Yes, constantly watch the wind change and get moving again. What a turn off. Or use the R button and slowly cruise if you're semi-close to your destination. It was preposterous. The only reason why was because simply sailing from one place to another was such a nuisance. Don't get me wrong, there are loads of islands, big and small, to discover when traveling. And they all contain something at least worth your while, whether it be a payout of rupees, piece of heart to eventually extend your health, one of the many fairy fountains that can grant Link upgrades to his arsenal. The ocean itself even has a few things that you can salvage, though it's mostly rupees. I think this game has one of the highest potential rupee caps in the whole series, a total of 5,000 rupees after getting the biggest wallet. But if you were playing the original version of the game, there was a very good reason for that. My point is, you're always bound to see something across the horizon that you could reason with due time, and I repeat, in due time, because between those areas of interest is a fuckload of water. There is too much water in this game, and it just absolutely destroys the first portion of this game's pace. Now, I say first because once you get the bow and arrows, you can get the Ballad of Gales by shooting this guy in the ass a couple times with your wood.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
No pause. Which allows you to warp to certain points in the map, reducing backtracking substantially, which is a great, but, the journey before that feels like something else, and maybe it's just the developers really trying to exemplify the sheer scope of exploring the Great Sea to never know what to expect beyond the endless horizon. Which is good for a first-time play, I suppose, but come on now. I will say, there is something about the sound and feel of winning clashing water battles that gives me goosebumps, makes me feel like freaking Jack Sparrow.
I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
And when the sun goes down, or when the weather suddenly gets rough, I'm legitimately tense. I will say it's just not as visually appealing as, say, riding on horseback against the lush green landscape of Hyrule Termina. Keep in mind, I thought Hyrule and Ocarina of Time was pretty vague and empty, but visually there was some, there was more there. I'm not the type of dude that likes waiting 5 minutes in the sea to get to the next island. I bet Link forgets the alphabet because he's always lost at sea.
Bruh.
I'll gladly stop to observe uncharted territory if I happen to come across it along the way, but I'm not very interested in exploring Wind Waker at all. Charting the map was incredibly tedious too. This is another reason why I prefer the HD remaster, because that version gives you the Swift sale, baby. You gotta buy it from the auction house, which was a bit random. I don't want any other propaganda, I want that fucking sale. But once you get it, it's astounding. You move twice as fast, and every time you whip it out, the wind automatically changes the direction you're facing. Oh boy, you pinching a tent? Because I sure am. No longer do you have to endlessly change the wind direction and watch it blow, unlike your girlfriend. It's less time spent in the ocean and more time spent on some more of the traditional aspects of Zelda, like dungeons, at least for a little bit anyway. Wind Waker was under strict schedule, so just like Majora's Mask, during development, content apparently got omitted. You can sort of feel it at times. Link goes through 2 dungeons to get to the prose of the goddesses respectively, but the third one is just oddly given to him with no climax, also just like your girlfriend. What's wrong with me? Wind Waker is filled with a lot of miniature instances and not necessarily full of dungeons. 2 of those actual dungeons are pretty similar in execution, in which you use the Wind Waker to micro-tool your partner solve puzzles. Actually, now that I think about it, it's also a big theme in the Tower of the Gods, so make that 3 times you're solving dungeons in a similar fashion. But let no other example exemplify the lack of content than that fucking Triforce hunt. To prove his courage as the true hero of the winds, I suppose as a callback to the original Zelda on the NES, Link is required to search for the Triforce of Courage. We've just broken up into 8 pieces and scattered across the ocean. In the original version, this was the absolute worst. You could only discover Triforce pieces by using Triforce charts, but you had to first find them and then have them deciphered because you couldn't interpret the language. The 30-something spandex woman creeper from Majora's Mask has returned. Not just rocking a hard on for fairies this time around, the pervert loves rupees. I'm assuming to pay the fair... This isn't GTA. Anyways, Tingle offers to decipher the Triforce charts for a measly 398 rupees per chart. There were 8 Triforce charts total, meaning it took a grand total of 3,184 rupees to proceed through the game through an in-game paywall that brought the end game to a screeching halt. This and the Swift Sale is all you need to know on why you should get the HD remaster. After completing the necessary trials, this reward were just straight up Triforce pieces, meaning you didn't have to pay this perv a single goddamn rupee for 5 of the 8 possible pieces. And by the time of the game, you should easily have over 1,200 rupees to get the remaining 3 Triforce pieces from the charts, because it's not like you're spending money on potions or other things. This is hands down one of the easiest Zelda games that I've ever played, from the expanded combat options like the parry system, which allows you to easily counter just about anything, the sheer utility and item upgrades that give you more options on top of the extended combat, the outright broken techniques you can unlock, and finally Grandma Soup. I mean, wow. Health and magic restoration and an attack boost to take damage, and it's free? I mean, fuck. I don't know what the game over screen in Wind Waker looks like. I don't believe I've ever died in this game, and I don't think the dungeons are all that taxing either. They can go on a little long. Again, I think it hurts that you're doing the same mind control from the 3 of the temples, making them feel like reused content, and then even one of these boss fights are tough in the slightest, with the exception to the final one. That one's actually pretty cool, especially the ending. I don't have a lot of fun using the new grapple hook for swinging around either. I did like the addition of the new Deku Leaf, which lets you glide long distances with enough magic power. I'm always happy to see returning classes like the Boomerang, the Bow and Arrow, and the Hook Shot. In the Wii U version, you can take selfies with the Picto Box. I don't consider that a selling point, as I never use it, but if that's your thing, go for it. I mean, selfies is the new craze, right? I believe Wind Waker to be a good jumping point if you haven't played a 3D Zelda game yet, and for the love of God, make sure it's the HD remaster. Like, I can't stress that enough. Wind Waker drags ass in the beginning and the end of the adventure without those refinements. But on the plus side, it won't certainly kick you in the ass. If you're not looking for something overly difficult, then Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask are still better games in my opinion, only because it feels like there's more to them visually and content-wise. Wind Waker isn't bad in the slightest. I wholeheartedly love the amount of utility that this incarnation of Link has, but the world around him doesn't adjust accordingly, which again makes it one of the easier of the games, but also one of the shallower games. However, you can turn on hero mode, which does make it, I guess, a little harder, but not that much. There's much to discover in the open blue, and that's great, especially if you get a kick out of the selling, but it's purely for completionist purposes and nothing you need to absolutely do to ensure survival. This game is a satisfying experience overall. What are your thoughts on Wind Waker? For me, it gets a stout 7.5 Swift Cells out of 10. Now overall, this was an ordeal to make. Man, dude, these jokes gotta stop. But leave those suggestions for the next game down below. If I didn't cover something really unique, put that down below too. And if you enjoyed this video, check this one out right here. Have you clicked yet? Just click the video. Just do it.